Is it really peace and safety, or has World War III expanded? Just yesterday, a Russian nuclear-capable warhead exploded inside of Poland, leaving behind a massive crater and sending fighter jets into the air. Now there's fears that there could be a direct confrontation between NATO and Russia. Across the Middle East, Iran, the United States, and Saudi Arabia are exchanging new strikes, while China is supplying weapons to Iran, breaking their promise to Trump. And now in Italy, Italian prosecutors are warning that the mafia is trying to obtain sophisticated weapons that were lost in the Ukrainian war. And in the meantime, over in Israel, the Sanhedrin is petitioning God about the identity of the Messiah and also when they can build their third temple. And it doesn't end there. President Trump is hailing a new peace agreement in Gaza. So we're hearing about promises of peace, but is sudden destruction about to fall? Hey everyone, it's Dina Kalmeta here. And today we're going to examine the headlines, look at the 6 signs on how World War III is expanding, and what exactly is going on with the mafia. An object that crashed into a field in Poland was a Russian missile capable of carrying nuclear warheads. Poland's Deputy Minister of National Defense said that the KH-101 cruise missile exploded as it landed in the east of the country in the early hours of Thursday. He described the missile as potentially very dangerous. There were no injuries or damage in the shocking incident, which risks deepening icy tensions with Moscow and NATO. The missile reportedly left a huge 10-meter wide or 33 feet crater 57 miles from Poland's border with Ukraine. It came as Russia launched a huge ballistic missile and drone barrage across Ukraine. Officials say that 10 lives were claimed, while more than 50 others were injured. The alliance's Secretary General said it was yet another reckless act by Russia and a dangerous consequence of its war against Ukraine. Mr. Tusk, who visited the site where the missile landed in the Lublin province, said it was a very serious incident. However, he stressed that there are absolutely no reasons to believe that Poland was the target. Goes on further to report that a NATO spokesperson said as well as the fighter jets, an attack helicopter, and 2 other aircraft were scrambled in response to the missile alert, while ground defenses were also activated. This is exactly what I have been warning about. Here we have a missile, not any missile, not just a normal missile, but a Russian cruise missile capable of carrying a nuclear warhead explode into a field in Poland. Now, thank God nobody was hurt. Thank God there were no casualties. But what if that were not the case? One miscalculation, one wrong move could send this conflict reeling into World War III. And thank God Article 5 wasn't enacted. What is Article 5? Article 5 is an attack on one NATO member is an attack on all NATO members, which means that all the NATO members would be in a direct conflict with Russia. Now, that's not happening in this case. They're finding out that obviously Russia did not have malicious intent against Poland. But we cannot forget about what's happening in Romania, and I reported on this week. Russia is sending drones into their airspace, which is also a NATO member. So definitely a very dangerous and precarious situation. But it's not just about missiles and drones. Now we're getting reports that apparently the Italian mafia is looking to obtain 800,000 weapons that were lost in the Ukrainian-Russian war. The Italian mafia is seeking to buy up some of the 800,000 firearms reportedly missing or stolen from Ukraine since 2022, including drones and other advanced arms. Some 780,465 items sent to Ukraine have reportedly just disappeared since the escalation of the conflict, including around 149,000 during the first 5 months of 2026. The Italian newspaper outlet noted that European law enforcement authorities have struggled to track the flow of these arms, given the Western governments conceal the details of their extensive military shipments to Ukraine. The weapons have since reportedly ended up on the European black market and are now said to have attracted the attention of Cosa Nostra, the Sicilian mafia, which would like to upgrade its arsenal with military-grade systems.
Palermo's chief prosecutor, Maurizio Di Lucia, told Italy's Parliamentary Anti-Mafia Commission this week that the criminal organization was trying to build a quality arsenal and has already obtained access to AK-47 rifles and powerful explosives. Di Lucia said that the mafia is also trying to obtain more advanced weaponry, such as mine-dropping drones, warning that Italian security services are just not prepared to deal with such weapons. The latest report comes amid repeated corruption scandals involving Ukraine's military and state institutions. Recent investigations have uncovered millions of dollars in illicit sales of military equipment and theft from military repair contracts and drone funds, alongside wider schemes involving defense procurement and foreign donations.
How in the hay did the Italian mafia get involved in this war? Now, that is a twist that not even I saw coming. Meanwhile, across the Middle East, strikes continue between the United States, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. It's also being reported that Saudi Arabia is looking to create a new coalition, and Israel is warning that they may be forced to join this war again. So while the war in Ukraine spills into Europe in unexpected ways, the war in the Middle East is widening dangerously.
Written by Michael Schneider of the Most Important News, he goes into the 6 signs that World War III is about to get even larger. Now, we already discussed what happened in Poland in regards to the missile exploding in the field, but what's going on with Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia has just put together a 14-nation naval coalition to protect commercial traffic in the Red Sea, and it is being reported that the Saudis are preparing for a major military offense against the Houthis. Saudi forces have been withdrawing from the east of Yemen in what could be preparation for a land offensive. President Trump is becoming extremely frustrated about the lack of progress in defeating Iran. It's being reported that he is growing increasingly exasperated as the war in Iran stretches into its 6th month. A report citing a U.S. official and people familiar with discussions paints a picture of a divided White House. As one U.S. official put it, after all this time, there is no unity. Trump is desperate to achieve some sort of breakthrough, and he has been looking for new options. One of the options that the president is reportedly considering is a plan drawn up by Admiral Brad Cooper. That plan calls for 10 to 14 days of strikes designed to eradicate Iran's ongoing threat. Of course, the truth is that if we could take out the underground facilities where Iran is hiding their missiles and drones, we would have done it by now. And if the U.S. starts hitting Iran with airstrikes, the Iranians have already warned they will fire ballistic missiles at Tel Aviv. The moment that they are attacked by Iran, Israel is ready to start destroying Iranian energy infrastructure. And we just learned that the IDF has flattened a prominent mosque in Gaza City. After more than 1,000 days, the war between Israel and Hamas is far from over, and just a little while ago, Israel used 700 tons of explosive to destroy a massive tunnel system that Hezbollah had been using in southern Lebanon. Iran has been hitting us in a lot of different ways, and now it appears that they have added cyber attacks to the list. U.S. investigators believe that the Iranian hackers were likely behind a cyber attack targeting about 36 municipal water systems in Minnesota. Officials cautioned that the assessment was preliminary and could change as more technical evidence was collected. They said that there is no indication that any water supply had been unsafe to drink. At least one city temporarily took a well and treatment plant offline, while other municipalities used manual workarounds after hackers targeted systems used to remotely monitor and manage water towers. Of course, this is quite an ominous development. What targets will Iranian hackers go after next? Now, in the meantime, U.S. and Saudi Arabia on Wednesday launched fatal strikes on Iranian-backed militias in Iraq, blaming them for drone attacks on Saudi oil facilities as Iran fired missiles at U.S. troops in Jordan in the first such attack reported since the fighting paused over the weekend. Meanwhile, a senior Iranian official had ruled out a proposal for a regional joint management of the Strait of Hormuz, accusing the U.S. and Saudi Arabia of pressuring them to advance unrealistic plans with no chance of success. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard also reasserted its control of the key waterway, saying their forces struck 3 oil tankers there that had ignored warnings. Back and forth attacks in recent days have ended a brief pause in the fighting after the president abruptly called off a 2-week U.S. bombing campaign, and Iran appeared to follow suit, seemingly ending the largest reigniting of the regional conflict since an April ceasefire. It is being reported that Iran will soon be receiving 400 shoulder-fired air defense systems from China. The missile shipment was reported by Reuters on Wednesday based on information from 3 sources who spoke on condition of anonymity because of the sensitivity of the matter. These sources said that a Hong Kong company acted as the intermediary between Beijing and Iran for the missile shipment, which seems intended to fill the gaps in Iran's air defenses exposed by U.S. and Israeli strikes during Operation Epic Fury. If this deal is completed, President Trump will go absolutely ballistic, and it will help set the stage for a future war with China. Of course, the Chinese are already very angry with us because our naval blockade is preventing them from getting the Iranian oil that they depend on. China normally imports more oil from the Middle East than anyone else by a wide margin, and so what is taking place in the Middle East is of the utmost importance to them.
President Trump has issued an explicit warning to Russia and China not to help Iran. And what does China do almost immediately? Help Iran. If this report is true, this is a direct slap in the face of President Trump. So I guess time will tell, but the direction that this war is going is not good. And neither is the war in Europe. Now I can actually say in Europe because we have Russia and Ukraine at war. We're seeing missiles flying into Poland, drones flying into Romania, and now the Italian mafia looking to obtain weapons. The war is absolutely expanding. So will there come a day and a time when people will start looking towards a particular individual to bring peace? Perhaps a Messiah? This next report is in regards to the Sanhedrin in Israel that is actually petitioning God for the identity of the Messiah and to build their third temple.
The Nanskit Sanhedrin issued a formal ruling this week asking the Holy One, blessed be to He, to remove hostile forces from the Jewish people in the land of Israel, and to also reveal the Messiah and rebuild the Holy Temple and restore prophecy to Israel. The written ruling follows a session the court members described as several hours long, during which 2 of the judges argued against moving forward before ultimately joining the majority. Israel National News has reported that U.S. President Trump declared on Thursday that the International Board of Peace has reached a major diplomatic accord securing the full demilitarization of certain group organization factions in the Gaza Strip. In a post on Truth Social, Trump hailed the milestone, stating today the Board of Peace reached a historic agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas and other armed groups in Gaza. This is a monumental step towards lasting peace and security. This agreement is a critical step towards Gaza finally being governed by a new Palestinian government that will work closely with the Board of Peace to help the Palestinian people. At the same time, Israel will have the security it deserves, with Gaza no longer used as a base for terror attacks. Detailing the execution of the accord, the president noted that the process represents a major milestone in the implementation of the Trump 20-point plan. The agreement will be carried out in carefully structured phases, and as disarmament is completed, Israeli forces will withdraw, and the International Stabilization Force will work with a new Palestinian police force to take responsibility for Gaza being safe for its residents and its neighbors.
1 Thessalonians 5:3 tells us that when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. You cannot have true peace without the Prince of Peace. Any peace agreement without Jesus Christ smack dab in the middle of it is going to fail, unfortunately, and according to prophecy. But as far as Israel goes and looking for the identity of the Messiah, right now they don't receive Jesus. Many of them do not receive Jesus as the true Messiah. So the person that's going to come on board on the stage of the world is going to be the Antichrist. So they don't really know what they're asking for, but people will receive him. They will worship him. They will love this man, and he will come on a white horse of peace, bringing peace. But again, it will be a false peace, and it will fall apart halfway through the tribulation period. And as far as the third temple goes, that will happen. They will eventually build a third temple because the Antichrist is going to go into that temple, declare that he is God, and commit the abomination of desolation. At that point, the Jews will turn to Jesus and realize that he is the true Messiah. So it's very interesting that we're hearing about the identity of the Messiah We're hearing about a third temple a lot lately, wars and rumors of wars, nation rising up against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, peace agreements. It's all prophecy, you guys, falling into place perfectly. But I'd love to hear what you think. So let me know in the comments. What do you think about Saudi Arabia creating a coalition? What do you think about the mafia looking for weapons from the Ukrainian war? What do you think about the identity of the Messiah? Let me know in the comments. Also, when you have a free moment, come and visit us on our website, thedacreport.com. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Continue to look up. And until next time, God bless and stay safe.